I've still got the notes up and everything.
Well, you're British. You have manners.
What? Oh yeah, shit! I forgot I do have that. Fuck.
It's like you have
Shit.
that polite pedigree
That
in you.
that national politeness, yeah.
I love John Oliver's jokes relating to that. It's like and then there was the quintessentially British method of handling it, which is just kind of sending a polite letter and going.
So a lot of the time that does happen.
I am protesting your position.
Yeah, a lot of the time that actually happens. Like it takes a lot for us to actually go out and like protest in the streets or riot. Like that is it. That is like our final resort.
There's this Family Guy joke where they mention drive-by arguments, and so it's these two old guys driving in a car, and they say, "There's Reginald. Let's go get him." And they pull and they slow down. They pull down. They roll down their window and they go, "Oh, Reginald, I disagree," and they drive off.
It's like, oh, the savagery.
I know that was a very violent attack there.
It's like, your arguments have no substance whatsoever. Drive.
And on that note, Depths of Gaming episode 24.
Lovely.
We are here. I am back from Las the far off desert of Nevada.
And I'm the intern.
And that's our intern. Back again because I honestly don't know. Jahith has not been available. We suspect that Russia has annexed Poland overnight.
Possibly.
More at 7.
Poland, you don't have independence anymore. It's like, shit, not again.
It's also possible that he has been activated as a Russian suicide bomber.
Nah, he doesn't drink.
Those don't
doesn't
exist.
Drink vodka for that.
But there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, nah, he doesn't drink enough vodka for that.
That's true. He doesn't. Well,
like
yeah.
his blood alcohol content's not 7% alcohol, so he can't like cause any crazy shenanigans.
Well, that's what a Russian suicide bomber is he just drinks a ton of vodka and holds a fuse.
Literal ton.
A literal gallon of LSD. So, starting forward, Brink has been released as a free-to-play title without being balanced to be a MOBA. They just flat out just went, Brink's free.
Yes, a game released in 2011. It has not been the most successful game out there, and a lot of the time it's been met with unfortunate tragedy with a slowly dwindling player base.
Uh-huh.
And so hopefully this will help them out.
And the thing about Brink is it's actually a rather tightly designed shooter. It's the spiritual successor of Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, which was a free-to-play standalone expansion for the Wolfenstein game that came out 10 years ago. And so Brink shares a lot of Enemy Territory's design elements. 4 classes, each of which has a different combat role. They do different objectives.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I have just looked at its Steam charts. Before it came free to play, it once had a mighty average number of 19 people. I know. But now, because it's gotten free to play, in the last 30 days, it once had a total of 2,600 average players.
Right.
It went over 1,000% increase.
Yeah, there's no argument that this wasn't a good move. You've suddenly breathed life back into your player base. Might be temporary, might be not, who knows. But I'm just saying, is if you want to play a quality shooter game for free, you can play Brink.
Yeah, and if it turns out that you don't enjoy it, then guess what? You didn't pay any money for it.
And there is a paid expansion for Brink for more content. It's $3.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
As you can see, they demand top dollar for their
It's like if you DLC. Want all the content for this game, you pay $3 more, and suddenly you have a few more class abilities and 2 new maps. There you go. So there you go. I think Brink did a good move. I played 10 hours of it yesterday.
Yeah. Like, let's just see if
I literally played through the entire campaign of the game yesterday because I was interested. It came out and my computer wasn't strong enough. Now my computer's strong enough and I enjoy it. It has all the parkour of Titanfall without the mecha. And the gun design's weird. They don't give you a lot of shotguns. Almost everything's an assault rifle. Like, there are sniper rifles, and they're good, but assault rifles are kind of the way to go, because it's a very tight urban setting. A lot of the maps take place in structures or complexes. So, anything else to add? You didn't really play Brink or Enemy Territory.
No, not me. No, that was back in the day when I had no money, like at all, and I only had the games I had for an incredibly long time, and sadly, neither of those were those. I never had those. But hey, like I said, at least Brink is doing well now. I mean, on its release date on Steam, it had 417 people on average.
Yeah, like this is a game that always suffered from having a low player base because, like I said, it's enemy territory. It really is. The same way that the Quake game they made before it was enemy territory. And they are forgetting that the reason enemy territory was a triumphant hit is because no one paid for enemy territory.
It's amazing what people do. How many people will go for a free game?
Yeah, it's when E.T. came out, it was the free shooter because you were suddenly matched against like 50 people, and you're able to participate in a war, which is something that you weren't able to do before that. So that's why that game did well. Moving on. As usual, the Blizzard community is in an uproar over a balance patch.
Overwatch has once again caused much ire in its community because they have decided to once again rebalance Mercy, the main healer of the entirety of Overwatch.
Because the thing about Overwatch is, from when I played the pre-release, she was mostly a TF2 style medic. She had a beam, she kited around the person, and her gimmick was she could fly. So she was able to fly above the person and be harder to hit. However, now, would you like to sum this up? I don't play Overwatch anymore.
Essentially what they've done is that now she can actually do damage, which appears to have actually pissed off a lot of people because now, from what I can tell, people aren't using her to heal as much. They're trying to actually gain play of the games, like the little shows at the end of every match, and people are thus complaining about it. Like they wanted to go back to the time when all she did was heal and resurrect everybody, but then those players complained that they never got to do anything but heal. So I think Mercy is just doomed to have an eternally angry fan base. And those who play her as their main.
Well, yeah, because there's this gif of a play of the game where New Mercy is zooming around hunting people with her plasma pistol.
Yeah.
And kills like 5 people. She goes to a person, flies to the next person, kills the person, next person, kills the person. And so
there's going to be a lot more of that now.
And so the thing about her is she became one of those characters where her abilities are that of a support, but balance-wise, not a support.
It's very odd for Mercy, because Again, she's just meant to be the healer. Like, every other hero that does healing is far more supporty in style than she is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's pure heal for the most part. And by the way, me just saying that, I got the feeling I'm gonna get angrily shouted at because clearly I did not play enough Overwatch. Even
oh yeah, by all 0 of our viewers.
Yes. Look, hey, look, that Zero guy could really get angry at me.
Yeah, and if he divides, we're fucked.
I know we're doomed. Like reality could break, and that's not good.
So Wolfenstein 2, speaking of enemy territory, it's funny how that kind of...
Segway!
Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, is going to have a segment... I honestly didn't read up as much as I really should have on this because I just learned about this morning. The game has a significant focus on Nazi-controlled America. And so there's a segment, especially in the early game before the run and gunning begins, where you walk past a woman and she's just talking about slavery, and there are people in obvious like the literal Klansman robes walking around freely.
Yeah.
Because now the thing is, there have been games recently where you kill Nazis, but there's the issue is Americans don't like being the Nazis.
No, and all they're trying to do is go like, hey, but what if Germany with these new super weapons and giant mechs and armored dogs decided to go, you know what, we can now take America and then actually do it. Like, what would have happened to America? That's what they want to do, and unfortunately, the political climate today is kind of awful, and people are going to complain about it, and they're going to sigh with disappointment because, like, no one's thinking about a game anymore, they're just complaining about the Nazis. Even though Nazis are evil, last time I checked.
Well, the thing is that recently in America there's been a big problem because a lot of Confederate monuments are being taken down in a protest against Trump, who they regard as the person that wants to bring back that kind of history. So, and the thing about these monuments is they're literally whitewashing history.
Yes, they are.
These monuments are trying to say, oh, no. They weren't about slavery. They were fighting for the working man and freedom. No. Yeah, they were champions of the lost cause. And that's actually really what they call it.
Yeah, and also the person themselves gets made into a statue, yes, but we can then learn about that person and be like, oh shit, this person might have done some pretty horrible shit, or might have had views that I liked or disliked. And so we can learn from history. And now that the statue is gone, we're not going to learn from history. And in fact, I get the feeling we're doomed to repeat it now, as we often are.
And the thing about Robert E. Lee is that when he lost, he abandoned the cause entirely. That is, I'm pretty, unless I was misinformed, is at when he lost after the war, he abandoned the cause. He didn't spur people along, and so they're hearkening him as this complete champion of being a bigot when really he was kind of a representative.
Yeah, and was he the one that fought for his people, like the town he lived in, or was that another guy? I can't remember. I'm English. I don't know anything about American Civil War history.
Well, this isn't really too much about him, but what I'm trying to get at by bringing up this is that Nazism is a very charged topic because Nazism suffers from that same branding issue. There are people that legitimately think that Nazism is for some kind of freedom, and it's not about subjugation.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's fucking crazy.
Because
it's honestly crazy.
Because in the Charlottesville riot, there were literally a bunch of big Scandinavian dudes walking down the street with mean face on, chanting "Jews will not replace us." These are the kinds of people that have taken over in this game.
Yeah.
So
or at the very least, aren't as bothered by the rest of America anymore because now they've got their new Nazi overlords who are like, look, we don't care about you, do what you want.
So I honestly do not know how long this game is in development, and so there might be a legitimate argument that the game was in development before they knew that this would be a hot topic. But if this game started development anywhere near where Donald Trump announced his presidency, then that can't be the case. I'm sorry.
It won't be the case.
It was too obvious.
Yeah. So, though I do think it came afterwards because like games today take fucking decades to make half the time. It's ridiculous.
Well, on average, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. It's
but there's always the possibility that this started happening and they went, okay, new design direction. Because they just did an interview that was all about denial. They were just denying this left and right, but also saying, but this is the content of what we're doing. So they're basically pulling a Trump himself, as they're saying, oh no, I'm not saying that Mexicans are actually this thing. I'm just saying it.
It's like, goddamn.
And I'm like, Wolfenstein developers, you are fooling no one. You are making a political point. I know you don't want to say you're making a political point because then Donald Trump will go after you. But yeah, that's what they're doing.
Then again, everything's a political message nowadays. Like me going, I'm gonna have a chicken sandwich. It's like somehow there will be someone in America going, that is a political statement you made there.
You know why I'm getting a chicken sandwich is a political statement, right? Because a child in Ethiopia has to pay six hours of slave labor for that chicken sandwich.
Even though even though the chicken was in America and was made using American flour, like the bread was making American flour, somehow that Ethiopian kid, bless his poor little soul, like, god damn it. It's like, everything is a message. Everything. Even the dogs in your house are a political message. So well done, Wolfenstein developers. Your interview skills are shit. Please get better.
Obvious cover-up is obvious. So the developers of Crypt of the Necrodancer have announced a game called Industries of Titan, which is not Mars, but a moon orbiting Saturn.
We're finally going away from Mars, people. It's finally happening.
We've gone beyond Thunderdome.
Finally.
So, anyway, Saturn's a far more sane choice as a colonization target because you can pull your fuel directly from the gas giant. It's looking like gas giants are kind of our unlimited fuel source within the galaxy right now.
Yeah, we kinda can't eat up trillions of gallons or tons of fuel. Like, we can't really do that.
It's physically impossible for our species to use up a gas giant right now.
Like, no matter how dedicated we are, and we are dedicated.
Oh, and we're fucking dedicated.
We're like, we need to fuck over the trees, we need to fuck over the bees, we need to fuck over the oil, we need to fuck over the battery companies, we need
Honestly, I think that's what we should say to Donald. That's what we should say to Donald Trump is we should capitalize on the gas giants because there's no way that you're able to tap all of that gas giant.
It's like not even you can do that, Trump, and then he does it, and we're like, holy shit!
His eye twitches, And he goes, "We'll see."
Fund NASA, give them all the money. And NASA
And
will
in
finally
today's
cry
news,
and joy with a
NASA
budget.
suddenly has a larger budget than the military.
They finally have a budget.
And then the ticker underneath says NASA budget increases by 9,999,000%.
Yeah, and then we have to then say Trump has at least cared more about space than most other American presidents.
Yeah, at that point he's already been the most pro-space president ever.
Yeah, like the one good thing he'll have.
That's literally all he has to do is just give a giant budget to NASA and he's suddenly the best president ever when it comes to science. How fucked up is that?
It will be kind of amazing. It's like, finally, like, we can elevate the speed of which we cure cancer and other bone-degrading diseases and shit like that, and it'd be amazing, and I can finally go, holy shit, Trump did something
about this
good
this fucking beautiful game.
Oh my god, it's a beautiful game.
Holy shit, is it beautiful. So, the thing about voxel art is a lot of people try to use voxel art in games as a way to get around having really good graphics. Like, you'll see those voxel art games where you're right there and you can see right there that it's ugly as shit voxels.
Yeah, or they go with a very old style of artwork and as like an homage to the old days. Like, it's very rare you see like voxel or pixel that looks just spectacular.
Then we have games like Running with Rifles, where you have to zoom in pretty hard to figure out that it's voxels.
Yeah. And this game,
this kind of game is this artist. I guess he specializes in this science fiction like high detail art. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Sir Karma on Twitter. He joined
spelled with a C, not a K.
With a C, not a K. He joined this project for this, to design all of the buildings and ships in the game. And it's beautiful. Look at his Twitter. All the pictures are there.
It's pretty spectacular. Some of this stuff looks almost like a fucking painting to me.
Like, if you were to show this game to a random person on the street and then ask them what kind of art style it is and then gave them a choice between Minecraft and, like, say, Halo,
there's a good chance they'll pick Halo.
I think that the majority of people would say, oh yeah, that's like Halo.
And then we'll be amazed if there's a random stranger we found that actually knows about video games.
And then there's the person that actually understands video games that goes, oh, that's voxels.
Yeah, and they'll be like, shit, they figured it out.
Because that's usually what voxels are thought of, is low definition kind of replacement. Well, this is the example of past Running of Rifles, just fucking art. This guy's an artist.
He made something beautiful, and you get to play in that beautiful environment. Now, it is a city builder. This is a strategy game. You must exploit resources and slowly enhance your cities.
I'm imagining something similar in vein to the Anno series, only well-designed.
The sick burns. They're coming out in force today. Because
the issue with the Anno games, especially the futuristic ones, is they clung so hard to that like proto RTS or that proto strategy game system where your citizens demand increasingly specific things before they consider themselves better class citizens. Like in Anno 2070, you have to build an opera house before your citizens of the Ponzi variety will upgrade to the next value. And you're like, why is this necessary? Why can't they use a taxi and go anywhere in the city? Why are the radiuses so specific? And you're going, well, this isn't a city builder. This is a strategy game disguised as a city builder. Pharaoh, Zeus, Those were city builders.
Yes. And from the looks of things, this will be a city builder, and it is set in space. So if you love your space, if you love your sci-fi, this will probably be incredibly good. I have high hopes for this game.
Well,
and if they disappoint me, I shall bring down righteous wrath.
I invite you all to look at the Steam page and then look at the more information panel. They show you like the levels of a bunch of buildings. They explain a lot of what's going on. And like there are going to be enemies. There are going to be like ships to fight. Let me quickly see here if they say it'll have multiplayer. It probably doesn't have multiplayer, but I'm gonna look.
Like who knows? Though it is a very different game from Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is a rhythm-based pixel game.
Yeah, they went from a rhythm-based pixel crawler to a single-player ultra strategy city, a beautiful city builder. There was a completely unknown XCOM game called Armageddon, I believe.
Maybe?
It was some A name. And so the gimmick of Apocalypse. I apologize. Apocalypse.
You were close though.
It was synonym, but in Apocalypse, it took place in a giant cyberpunk city, and so the aliens were actually like eldritch abominations coming out of portals, mind controlling people into rebelling and rioting. So that game was way ahead of its time for fucking sure. If all Firaxis has to do is completely remake Apocalypse, which they kind of did with Firaxis XCOM 2. Like that would be a fun game. But yeah, Industries of Titan
looks amazing.
I mean, until they give us more gameplay information, all I can say is that this game looks fucking beautiful.
And from what I can tell, if they do half the work that they did in Crypt of the Necrodancer, it will be a pretty good game. That just looks amazing as well.
Like seriously, look at this artist's Twitter. He has a bunch of little dioramas to show you. Like this is the kind of like I kind of wish for a multiplayer game where you like built these kinds of little voxel pretty cities on like planets and like sent interstellar trade between each other. Like that is the next generation of this kind of game. I think this game's going to breathe a lot of life in the simulation genre, which by the way has been making a serious comeback.
Oh yes it has. It's been kind of amazing.
I'm very happy that the indie designers finally went, wait a second, we can make any game we want. We don't have to like make copies of other games anymore because people are used to indie games now.
People have high hopes in indie now. Like, people look to indie games for the new kind of games, like the games that really push the envelope of what can be done, or even what can be classed as games. While a lot of the bigger companies just re-release endless clones of each other.
Indie games kept reminding people that you don't need a huge budget to make a good game.
Exactly. And in fact, often, the smaller the budget, the better the game becomes. Because then they have to work harder to make something interesting.
Because what they will never tell you in those AAA companies is where the money actually goes. A lot of it goes to advertising, to paying the CEO.
Oh, so much. So much goes to advertising.
Like, I don't have a concrete number, but I want to say less than half goes to the actual game.
Sometimes I even say a quarter. That's me. That's me underselling quite drastically there. I will admit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of misbudgeting,
A tragedy.
there has been a death in the family.
In the miniature family. So, for those who are even nerdier than you can even imagine, this is a pretty big issue. Spartan Games, a UK-based company known for their 6mm games of the Steampunk Dystopian Wars, the Sci-Fi Firestorm games, and the recently done Halo miniature war game. It has closed its doors. No amount of money could keep them afloat anymore.
It has ceased to be. It
completely.
Is no more. It is an ex-company. Even
their parent company had to go under as well, and they are selling everything they can wholesale in a desperate bid to just get some money back.
Yeah, they blatantly said, like, we are selling our IPs. We're not keeping them. We owe people money. We have to do something. And that's unfortunately the issue, is the vibe I got from Spartan Games recently is they kept pretending like they knew what they were doing when they really didn't. They kept saying, research. And you could tell that they didn't.
It's just a tragedy.
Because I wrote a rather large post on Reddit about this, and I'm going to pull that up real quickly so that I can kind of basically use it as my notes for this. Is they failed to engage their players. They were doing campaigns and crusades and stuff in the UK area. And the issue is, versus games like Dropfleet or Infinity that have, or Warhammer, that have an almost worldwide appeal.
Yeah. Or the fact that, like, other miniature games like Games Workshop, they've been revitalized. There are some miniature games that are just exploding once again, and these smaller companies that once had a pretty decent following, they're losing them because now they're going back to the games they thought were dead.
Well, right.
It's like, oh, tragedy.
Infinity's been going strong because it locks on to the shooter crowd, because it's essentially a miniatures war game about a first-person shooter.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's why it's kind of so fun to play, and it has such a good scene.
Yes, you can do it. I believe in you. I believe.
Because the issue with Spartan is that they tried the they tried to hold their new rule set hostage. Is they said, here, pay into our Kickstarter or purchase our hardcover book for the new rules update. We're not going to give you the new rules update for free. We're going to give you the new profiles for free, but we're not going to give you the new rule set for free. And the reason they didn't do that, because I recently got my hands on the new rule set, because it's literally just a rewording. The issue with and I'm gonna and here I'm going to define why I keep saying issue. The 2.0 Dystopian Wars rulebook is awful. It's full of bold text wording, italics, red and blue text, and paragraphs upon paragraphs of explanations of shit I can say in a sentence.
Over-explaining is never good.
So it was just verbose, and it turned people off what Warhammer had to do. Is they had to say, okay, we can't focus on this lore bloat. We have to give people a game that they can jump into. And that doesn't mean simplifying the game like Spartan thought. That means just writing it in a way that you can understand.
Make it simple.
Like, they released this fleet action rule set, and that failed miserably because it was still written in a complicated manner.
And now they're gone.
And so the thing about the new 2.5 rule set is I read it and I go, holy shit, I can teach this to people now. And now they are deceased.
They're dead.
And so here's the thing. You can pick up all their miniatures fairly cheap now. They're all slashed on websites. And then, meanwhile, in other news, my friend Eric does not understand what a cease and desist means. Context. But yeah, Spartan Games is gone. They failed. They tied up a bunch of their money with
what I believe is the licensing of Halo. Like, I can only imagine how much they had to pay for that. And if they were already doing bad and they were hoping that Halo would give them money, I don't think it was a good idea. Like, they probably burned everything they had, and every Kickstarter they published did not help.
So here's why the Microsoft thing was a stupid idea. Because the people that play Halo go to video game stores. It's that simple.
Yeah.
They go to video game stores. They did not market to video gamers. They marketed to their same old UK crowd. And exclusively their UK crowd. So, unfortunately, you got a game that had no stage presence. Because they were at, like, say, Gen Con or stuff like that. They didn't go to Comic-Con. They didn't go to any events where video game people would go.
Yeah, they could have brought new people into the fold of miniature wargaming.
Because the reason you pick up a license like that is to pick up
the crowd. You can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, you can't just get... You have to make the full step. You can't just go, okay, I have this license, all these new people are going to jump to me. That's not how it works. So, they made a bad move. And then there was that Kickstarter I talked about. Not only did they hold their new rule set hostage, but the thing about the Dystopian Wars game is that it has 3 theaters. Land, air, and sea. Now, to be fair, the game started exclusively as a naval game. Then they released a new game called Armored Clash. That failed miserably, so they rolled it into Dystopian Wars. Because it was the same scaling of models, it was just a land rule set. So they decided, fuck it, we'll put the land rule set into this rule set and then have it a tri-theater rule set. Now, the problem with this is if you're going to do that, you're going to get people that only prefer one theater. Because that's how it's designed. So, I was a land player, exclusively a land player. And for my dedication to jumping into this company, my reward was, when the Kickstarter came, no new models offered whatsoever. None. It was all naval models and a few skimmers and a few new robots that are basically used in the water anyway. Because the thing with a lot of the larger models is you can use them in the water, so that's why they exist.
Yeah.
Because I don't count the Dread robots as new land models, because it doesn't matter what theater they travel on. They're so big that they occupy all three simultaneously. So I felt completely ignored by Spartan. They didn't give a shit about me, and they kept telling me, we do research, yet here I am telling them, hey, I want something. And they're going, we do research, you don't exist.
It's like, according to my latest statistics, you are like the 2 people who do land battles.
Yeah, according to my statistics, you don't matter. I'm sorry. And Spartan Games shouldn't have expected to go along with that mindset.
Oh, dang it.
So that's why they failed, because they didn't realize that they had an American fan base that wanted their land models. Because unfortunately, that's what Americans wanted to play. Is they wanted to play the Americans, and they wanted to play land battles. Because we love giant land battles, because we're from a continent where you can have giant land battles.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, we've always been naval-based.
Yeah.
So let's do the Navy thing. It's great.
That's possibly why, because it was a British company that's obsessed with the water.
It's what made dystopian wars exist, and then they branched out and then started ignoring the people they branched out to, much to the company's destruction.
Like they announced the new theater was like Africa or something like that, and one of the ships they introduced was a literal like giant iceberg that's a ship.
Oh, brilliant!
So like, yeah, let's use a giant iceberg ship in the middle of the African fucking ocean.
Brilliant idea. I don't see how this could go wrong.
So it's stuff like that just marked the death of the company.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have anything to add? Were you a big Spartan Games guy? Because I invested heavily. I
really wanted to get into Firestorm games. Firestorm, like Armada. I mean,
Firestorm was priced far too prohibitively for me.
Yeah, like it was a bit too expensive for me, and I only wanted to get into it because it's like, hey, it's giant spaceship battles, and I love sci-fi. But I wasn't able to afford anything at the time, but I really wanted to, and I kept a good eye on the whole thing.
There was a period where dreadnoughts were actually really, really cheap.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just the starter sets that you needed to actually play. It's funny, all the really expensive support stuff was really cheap for Firestorm. It's just the stuff you needed to actually get started. Okay, I'm sorry, you just reminded me the main reason why I hated Spartan's policies. They refused to sell their models piecemeal off of their website. On their website, they sold every model individually. However, off the website, you had to buy a box. And this box usually had a bunch of redundant shit you didn't need.
Yeah.
And the result was you would have to buy a box if you wanted more of a specific figure. Like, a lot of these figures were only also, a lot of these figures you could only get in the Armored Clash boxes. So there's like a teleportation walker for It's like a tiny little infantry portal walker for the Antarcticans. You can only get that in the Armored Clash box. So as a result, a lot of the small units, unless you specifically collected to get specific ones, you had to rely on those tiny little tanks that you could get for 30 for $5.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, they all look pretty impressive in regards to each other. So you kind of get over that, and you go, they're like infantry, sort of. So you go, okay. They're little tanks. They're cool. But a lot of the like fancier, like light tanks, you had to buy multiple boxes for. And so then the heavy bombers came out. You could only get those in boxes. And so those sold out nearly immediately. So I say so a lot. I apologize for the viewers, but I have a very rambling thought process right now. And God damn it, I wanted the French heavy boxers. The French heavy boxes. No, I wanted the heavy bombers because they had corrosive bombs. Acid bombs! Necroscourge confirmed for war crimes.
Oh God, the horror!
It was the final solution. And those sold out, so I couldn't get them. And I was very frustrated by that. And also, there are these, for 2.0, they had these things called tiny flyer trays that you could use to neatly group up your fighter tokens.
Yeah.
And you could only get those through boxes. So you had to buy a bunch of boxes in order to collect all of your token trays. And you had to literally be like me and collect multiple armies if you wanted enough tiny flyer trays. And God, and oh boy, if you started before they introduced the trays, that meant you had to buy a bunch of boxes and get the trays.
Yeah. Buy boxes.
Fair, you don't need the trays, but they help.
Yeah. Like, goddamn. And now they're dead.
And the thing about Spartan Games is, I think it's going to live on as
the company that tried and failed.
As the company that tried and failed, because their miniatures are going to remain in circulation for a while. They overproduced like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And there's always the possibility that some other company is going to notice this and then pick up their IPs. And that might be cool, because then they're gonna hike the prices, and I'm gonna go, haha, I already have my miniatures in the rule set, fuck you. All of the pros and none of the cons.
Goddamn.
And lastly for today,
finally the last
an
thing.
Answer that absolutely no one wanted.
Brilliant. Just what we need.
For you see, no one inquires us and goes, Depths of Gaming, won't you please reply to people that are wrong on the internet? And we don't look down from our skyscraper and go, okay. We just kind of go, there's a stupid person. Let's bitch about them. It's not always a stupid person. Sometimes it's actually a legitimate question that we like. But usually it's a stupid person. And so this gentleman, no matter, feels like his DM metagamed and punished him for trying to be clever. Now, to be fair, as you read this, he kind of metagame too, because what he... And I'll explain why, but I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
The situation. Our party is preparing to enter a dungeon for a mission. We hear a rumor that a Medusa has made her home deep inside. Backstory. My character is a scholar who specializes in studying planar and monstrous creatures. Keeping that in mind, I figured it would be in character to prepare and fight a Medusa and buy a mirror. Now, I think he's right up to this point. How this played out. Me, I want to go to the general store, buy a mirror. Everyone else goes, why? And he goes, trust me, I have a plan. Now the DM realizes this and goes, fine. He buys the mirror, and the DM goes, to carry this in combat, it'll hinder your movement and be awkward. It's going to also shatter if you take damage. Time out. Bullshit, yes.
Yeah, the guy thinks that he wants to use it in combat for some reason, and thus he's trying to be like, hey, let's try and stop this before it gets a bit stupid. Like I don't want to know what crazy plan this man has got if it wants to
holding a mirror in your hand does not reduce your movement, and it does not impose a penalty.
Not unless he's carrying like a body-sized mirror, in which case I don't know why he would want to buy a body-sized mirror.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get a body-sized mirror in D&D. And I'm pretty sure that some of the explorers bags have a tiny mirror in it, and I think there is a tiny mirror in the book somewhere. But I digress. The character goes, okay, could I get party member who knows blacksmithing to put a handle on it for me so I can carry it like a shield and have a free hand? That could be carpeting too, but whatever. And the GM says, and he looks annoyed, and he goes, that would be very difficult. Bullshit! Oh yeah. Building an iron frame out of scrap to hold a mirror is difficult. Bullshit. It would take you a couple gold and a day.
Yeah.
So, the blacksmith PC rolls a natural 20, which annoys the shit out of the DM because he was trying to fake roll. He was trying to go, oh, you fucked up. It didn't work. Because there are DMs that go the paranoia method and fudge the dice.
Yeah.
Where they go, oh, that wasn't. It was a super, super high DM because for some reason in this fantasy world, building a mirror clasp is a work of art. Okay, so fast forward to the fight. He hexes the Medusa, and he's trying to be fun and clever, and add some flavor to the encounter. So the DM emphasizes that their eyes are closed when we enter the room. I have first initiative, and so I hex. I get there, and the party, of course, goes in, surrounds the monster, hit it till it dies. Every single turn, the Medusa gets... she turns to face another party member opposite me, opens her eyes, and then turns her back, then flails wildly at me with her eyes closed. So he's basically cheating at this point, because the thing about the looking in the eyes of the Medusa thing is it's kind of up to the DM to explain how her gaze is working, and if her eyes are closed, then obvious he can just say her eyes are closed. That's allowed. Yeah. However, I don't think they have like blind sight or anything like that.
No, I don't think so.
Let me ever so quickly pull this up, because this is a good question. Okay, Medusa. Okay, Medusa 214. Senses. They have dark vision up to 60 feet and a passive perception of 14. So, yes, the DM cheated. They do not have blind sight, which means the Medusa had absolutely no way of knowing that the player had a mirror. She cheated. He cheated. They cheated. I don't know. But, yes. Because the Medusa does not have blind sight, the DM has emphasized that the eyes are closed when they enter the room. And she has no reason to believe that they're carrying a mirror. So, that's cheating. And because that's a way you can beat a Medusa is by using the mirror. Now, after 4 rounds, she finally just breaks the mirror. After the session... Oh, it is a her. I'm sorry. After a session, I told her I feel like she's just punishing me for trying to be clever. She tries to defend her decision by stating Medusas aren't dumb and won't look into a mirror. I accuse her of metagaming around my plan because the Medusa did not know she had a mirror. DM did. She kept saying, never looked at it. And yet she always kept attacking him specifically with the eyes closed.
Yeah, like, a Medusa would worry about mirrors. That's a fact, because there's enough of them in D&D that they know their weaknesses. Well, but they're not going to expect every person to know what a Medusa is. A lot of these creatures are meant to be incredibly rare things that no one knows about until they talk to somebody about it.
Right. Like, a scholar who studies monsters would know. So I'm gonna finish reading this before I start dissecting it further. Then she explodes, saying, I don't know what it's like to be the DM and always have to lose. I say, I don't think D&D is about winning or losing, which is correct. Oh, I'm sorry. It's about telling stories and having fun in the world, and she's the one always complaining that she never gets to give us inspiration because none of us ever try to do anything cool. Anyway, it wasn't a great night. Like I said, she was metagaming and tried to punish me. It was the fact that she went into such lengths to sabotage my plan. I feel really shitty. So, yeah, that's all completely a drag. I fucking really annoys me.
Yeah, like, I will say, like, whenever someone says, like, why should I always lose? Like, it's a wrong mindset for a GM to have. Because a GM, like, if you go by winning...
either.
Yeah, like, if you go by winning and losing, like, purely as that, then yes, the GM is supposed to lose. Like, that is a fact. The bad guy never wins. The monsters will never defeat the heroes. Or at least not straight up kill them. Like, if you go by winning and losing, then yeah, being the GM is kind of sucky in that regard. But doesn't everyone want to see the story of the heroes rising up, defeating evil, and being badass? And the GM gets to let these heroes be as badass as they could ever be. Like, you could have player characters wrestle dragons, like, beat the shit out of giants, and destroy gods. Like, every GM can have their player party do that. And how cool is that?
Right. And so, when I'm saying that the player slightly went about this the wrong way is he should have went, okay, I'm going to roll history and see if I know what this creature is. And then go, oh, it's a Medusa. Hey guys, we're going to be fighting a Medusa. Let's go get a mirror. If according to my studies, that's what this is. If I roll high enough, that's the way you should handle it. Just going, I'm a scholar, I know what it is, that's not proper.
Yeah, like, all adventurers are the rare individuals who kind of know about these monsters, or at least have a way of hitting them until they die. Unlike a lot of the peasants who hit them once, then die. Like, it's like, And with Medusas, it's like, you want to defend yourself. Like, you need that kind of protection from them because it's so easy for a Medusa to go, and you're stoned, and now you're stoned, and now you're stoned. Now most of the party's like paralyzed.
Well, the main thing is that Medusas don't have blind sight. Their snakes don't. The snake hair doesn't actually let them see.
Yeah.
So the idea that a Medusa is capable of fighting normally people behind them and then blind attack the guy behind him can't do that. The reason they can't do that is because the difficulty of the Medusa goes up exponentially because they have a weakness that isn't actually able to be defeated unless everyone's holding a mirror.
It's like, it's an interesting situation to say the least. Like, and
as for the GM freaking out about now the thing is there was a paranoia player that he was some other player, but I invited him to paranoia and we played a little while and he got super depressed by the third time. He was like, oh, nothing matters and why do I exist and I'm so depressed. I'm like, you realize by the game's rules that I should just be killing you over and over again for this, right? Like, and the reason is he kept telling me, oh, all games to me are winners and losers. That's how it works for me. I go, well, that's nice, but that's not how this game works. No. How I work is there's always a winner and loser. And I look to him and I go, no. You don't understand. That's not how this works. And it was the continual back and forth of how the player thinks the game works and how the game works.
Yeah, it's like, oh, bloody heck. No, I have to disappear for a very quick second.
Well, we're done. The episode is over. Thank you very much, intern.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to feed my cat now because she's been going psychotic on me, going meow, 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 please feed me. So, I'm going to do that now. I am the intern, signing off.
Yes, we're basically going to throw him into a cryo casket for the next session and dust him out then. But yes, we bid you adieu.